It's time to hear from our leader, the man who is behind of all the activities which is happening at WISC. So now I request our chairman, CFP Kavra, to kindly propose, kindly address the audience.
Good morning, everyone. Lovely Saturday morning. What an interesting conversation that we are going to have today. PMLA, I think hot topic. Everything happening all around this. But the one thing, the silver lining, if I were to tell you about whatever that is happening is, there's a lot of interest now in activities that were happening when chartered accountants were not involved. Now everyone is warming up to that. Only largely these were a huge lawyer's domain, advocates domain, due diligence and everything that were happening now. But now with these new set of powers that we've got, Spider-Man once said, with more powers comes greater responsibilities. Now these powers that have been conferred to us in virtue of being action that could be taken, that makes us more relevant in the entire ecosystem. And believe me, almost on a daily basis, we are having conversation with someone or the other as a thought leader as to what are the points X, Y, Z, A, B, C that we could do to ensure, first, examine the source of funds, second, what and why, ask the questions, and third, probably go just beyond our internal audit, our stat audit, or any other small little engagement that we have with a company which is getting infusion of, say, a sizable amount, and we could extend our mandate there, a due diligence in every aspect. So I think this is a welcome change for all of us. And as I said, it's a silver lining. And today we have a very learned speaker, Advocate Aditya Ajgaonkar, who would be, kind enough that he's accepted this. Let me tell you that, yes, let's please clap for him. Let me tell all of you that, before this notification was even out, we had planned this event. And most importantly, we were all discussing about Benami law in our conference on 6th floor. We were already discussing about this, and that so many opportunities exist for chartered accountants there, but unfortunately no one really has entered into or ventured into these kind of things. So there was a certain CA Sunil Gupta from Delhi who was talking to us on all of this. The idea was actually on a different topic, but it drifted onto Benami because we had ED members there. Enforcement Directorate retired people were along with us. Some senior directors and some senior officers were with us in that seminar. And they drifted ki as a chartered accountant, when we do so many things, why not even do something on the Benami, on the PMLA and everything. And then bang on, we had the notification out. And so therefore, very timely, discussion. So what I feel is, this place is very positive. So wherever you are today, if you take a sankalp or if you take a thought process to do something, believe me, it will manifest. It did for us, it should do for you. Amongst the various activities that we're doing, I think I must really congratulate Gautam Bhai. Gautam Lad has just initiated a project called as Niryat series, offshore opportunities for chartered accountants. More importantly, not only theory but capacity building. We had with US, we had with Canada, we have had with UAE, Australia. Now we're planning with Singapore. We've reached out to all our foreign chapters. All of them have in one breath responded positively that yes, we need a lot of this. Let me tell you, as a fact that after World Congress, every other country is looking at us, in fact, to drain talent from India for their own purpose. Every other nation. On a daily basis, there is one or the other foreign embassy, what we call them, the chapters, German chapter, Russian chapter, everyone. They are looking out, they are reaching out to us for an interaction. For example, the Russian chapters just 2 days before were here in the evening, and they said we are hosting a program in the Geo, the Russian chapter here, and not the ICI chapter, the business chapters. They are here and they want ICI to join hands. I said, why? What is in for us? Well, nothing. We want the brains of chartered accountants here. There's a lot of investment happening in Russia, and we want them there. So I think please keep this space, watch this space for Niryat series. A lot of actions would happen, and it could be really some big business breakthrough. Could be for your clients or for each one of you. I think Shweta madam here, she's launched a fantastic Tech Edge series. Every Thursday in a month, we do technology oriented sessions. These are some wonderful sessions some of us have created our own chat GPTs. That was the first session that we did. OpenAI is the platform. Most of us have been only using it to give some, I don't know if you've heard, there is a new breed of professionals. I don't know if they may be called professionals, but a new breed of employees that you can say chat GPT prompters. Now that has been coined. Effectively, who can use chat GPT for our purposes? So I think there's a new concept which is coming in now that is called a chat GPT prompter. How well could you prompt? How well could you ask questions so that you can get replies? I think that is a new breed of maybe entrepreneurs coming up next. And these services now are, as of now, freelancers, but now very well they'll be all be paid services now available. But believe me, we had made our own bots. That is as simple as in a session of 1.5 hours, we did that. And a lot of these programs are going on. If whenever you look at our websites, you'll be pleased to see that we've started Project Gurukul. If any of you have your friends in as a CFO in an office and they miss the essential part of training, please take the liberty of telling them, hey look, WRC will stand to train your staff. Staff means chartered accountants. So all the lower managerial, below managerial level employees who are chartered accountants there, and if they need any training, say the accounting standards, say assurances, say income tax, say on a PMLA or any other thing, you can reach out to us at WRC. We started a project called as Project Gurukul at WRC. 5 companies, 6 companies, the staff combined together, they come here, they sit in a setup like this, we get a speaker here, WRC hosts their entire training session. It is the need of the hour because unlike big offices who have a training schedule, who invest in training of resources, lot of our industry members cannot do so. And therefore they get burnt out. Banks especially. A chartered accountant in a bank is a banker. He's no more a chartered accountant. So I think from there is this entire concept that has come out is, we want them to learn what is the accounting standards, what is an IFRS, what is this, what is that. And that is what we're doing over here. And various other. Yesterday we had how many of you, do any of you know any angel investor? Yesterday we had a wonderful program, around more than 40 angel investors were here. We had a startup lab. We've started a program called as a startup lab, NWIRC. We have started a program called as Nest Cafe. Nest is networking, entrepreneurship, soft skills and technology. These are the 4 pillars that will have, and a cafe means absolutely a casual setup. Friday evenings, you can all come to WIRC, have coffee with us and discuss over maybe a PE fund, maybe VC guy, or maybe a mutual fund or any other AIF setup. Someone or the other would be here, would be having a conversation. You could have members, non-members, young CAs, and you could have conversations over a coffee. So that is one concept that we've started more to ensure there are 800 people, 800 chartered accountants in this BKC area. Friday, they all want, why not we come to the institute? Why not we come to the WIRC and have discussions over a cup of coffee? And that is what we've started over here. So casual, but yes, very meaningful networking sessions that are launched. Our newsletters now are very, very laden in terms of, if you would see a networking zone, believe me, this small little tool has become very powerful for our chartered accountants, especially when they have to bridge, they have to see resources from across the country. A man from Ghaziabad, the chartered accountant, wrote that he needs, for a particular engagement, he needs 5 chartered accountants in the state of Maharashtra, pinpoint areas. Within 3 days, he got all 5. And that is the power of our newsletter, that is the power of this. So please have a look at this. There is a function called as @WIRC. We are now reaching out to all people who are creating tools, softwares, utilities. We are reaching out to them, trying to create a space for each of them. Believe me, wonderful. How many of you have actually branded your firms? How many of actually have thought of branding your own self? There is a startup by a chartered accountant which does only this. They provided a dashboard. You fill in your names, your profile and your firm name, and you will get, so for example, if you want to send a due date reminder for advance tax, do it by your firm name, branded, flyer, very easy. You don't have to invest in a Canva, you don't have to invest in a PowerPoint presentation, but a dashboard, just write your name and this will come up. Very easy service that you can all obtain for a very few amount. So I think that is an intelligent startup, someone said, it's just about let's brand our own CA firms. We are soon coming out with a program called as a website for every, a window for every CA firm. Let's have a website for every CA firm. with more and more, I think with yesterday's announcement of 2,000 rupees, I think now almost all of us will be on a digital currency very soon. There'll be hardly anything left with us. Now everything is going to be on the cloud. We need to be very sure of our privacy. We need to be very sure of our data security. We need to be very sure. And therefore, we are starting something called as a diet plan. A diet plan, a diet consultant. We want to make a chartered accountant as a diet consultant. You must be wondering why so. A diet consultant is designer, implementer, evaluator, and trainer. So for any concept on data privacy, any concept on technology, any concept on a software, or for that matter, security, SSL layers or XYZ, you'll have a chartered accountant. We are trying to create a workforce of chartered accountants who can be available for the first help to you and then maybe take that up professionally later on. But yes, these are the people, chartered accountants are now venturing into all of these things. And we want to set up an entire army of these people, because as we move towards digital, as we move towards more data, I don't want to see a scenario wherein someone hacks your server or a website and then holds you at ransom कि इतने cryptocurrency हमको दे दो, इतने हमको bitcoins दो, तब जाके हम आपका डेटा देंगे. So one, कैश तो अब हो नहीं सकता, तो कोई पुलिस भी पकड़ नहीं पाएगी. There is no trail, there is no banking involved. Everything is through blockchain, everything is through cryptocurrency, everything is through Bitcoin. Believe me, this has already happened here in Pune, also in Mumbai, one small firm, 3 lakh Bitcoins. And if I were to translate 3 lakh Bitcoins, suppose when I was studying, if I would have invested then, each Bitcoin was say 1.5 rupees. Today, every Bitcoin is around, the one that they asked was roughly around 800 rupees per Bitcoin. So you can imagine 3 lakh Bitcoins. So the conversion it can just take us for a toss, but the entire data, everything was at ransom. So therefore, the diet consultants will become very important in our. So you can call it whatever that you want, but yes, that is what we want to invest into. So we are working on these things. We're happy to hear from all of you. Any feedback, any suggestions, or anyone who can volunteer with us, please reach out to us. We've started a program called as My Role at WRC. Nikita is here as a part of that My Role at WRC. She stood up and said that I would be here as a coordinator, and then we've invited her. Thanks, Nikita, for taking up time and being with us. And to all of you, feel free to reach out to us. You could be the next person hosting a program here, speaking to us, conducting some sessions with us. More than happy to welcome each of you, because I am one of those product. I got a chance way back in 2007, and today I'm the chairman of this wonderful region, the largest region of this country, with serving registered people only 125,000, but serving more than 2 lakh chartered accountants. We have to drive a huge membership drive here so that people who are in WRC actually register with WRC, so that we actually know whom we are serving. Yeah. So that's it from my end. Have a great learning session, and have a good empowered session. Ask more questions so that you can get the best out of the speaker. Believe me, he's a very intelligent guy. I've had conversation with him. It's really important that you ask some good questions. You ask what is in it for you, and take away some valuable learnings. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Aditya sir. I'm sure everyone here would agree that WRC is doing so much, so many activities under his visionary leadership. This is a trailer, it has been only 3 months since he has taken over the charge. I am sure, and we at WRC always telling that we are really fortunate to have a chairman like you have been here, so much of dynamism, and he is, so much into technology and bringing every new ideas, new suggestions, and something new for the chartered accountants and the students at lab. Thank you so much, Aditya, for your address. Now I quickly hand it over to Shweta and CA Shweta Jain, immediate past secretary of WSU ICA, for the introduction of the panel.
Thank you, Gautam. Very good morning to all of you. It's really a pleasure to introduce a very learned, brilliant, and eminent personality, Aditya Ajgaonkar. He is an advocate, legal counsel practicing in the court at Mumbai and Delhi. He practiced in the field of corporate law, including taxation and law relating to the economic offences. He has published a book on PMLA, edited Your Queries on PMLA, published by Taxman in 2023. recently. He has been worked with it and has been mentored by some of the leading lights in the legal fraternity. Aditya studied for his LLM at Cardiff University and Wales, where he wrote his dissertation on money laundering law. He has trained in the chamber of the leading legal luminaries in the field of law, like the former judge of Delhi High Court, Senior Advocate R.V. Ishwar, Senior Advocate Vikram Nankani, Senior Advocate Dr. K. Shivram, and others, Shailesh Shah and Sudeep Pashmula. So, with this brief introduction, Aditya, I welcome you at the platform of WNRC. Thank you so much for being with us today.
So I request Chairman sir to kindly give a moment or two.
Friends, we are happy to share that we started subscribing to paintings actually. These are actual oil paintings done by artists from foot and mouth. These are underprivileged people who do this. As WRC reached out to them, they are helping them through this cause, and I'm sure this will be a wonderful collectible as an actual painting, not even a printout for each one. It's
The stage is yours.
Thank you so much for having me. I have a slightly informal style of presentation, and I know that people at the back will not be able to see me stand there. Please excuse me if I just take a floor here. My colleague will help with the PPT there. So, Honorable Chairman, Committee members, for having me. For the lovely initiatives that I have, and I'm so glad I get to be here as part of that initiative. I mean, when I heard everything, I was like, we are working very hard, and then I would just assumed of 3 months back. So, on a lighter note, I start out by saying that the sort of turnout we have today is enough to make a lot of law projects really jealous. So, I was just discussing with a certain person in the audience outside that if the third main notification wouldn't have come, I probably wouldn't have such a active audience. So, I have to be thankful to the Minister of Finance for taking it out when they did. I mean, we owe our program that much. I will also apologize. The PPT was meant for attachment under PMLA, but I know that the audience will have queries beyond that with respect to compliance, with respect to the circular. And at this point, I will tell you that I'll be happy to take you through whatever I can. As long as it's clear between us that the only one who can give any solid clarification is the government. Right? I mean, I can add best, assist, but everything is very new. We'll see how the story unfolds. But I have been taking certain sessions, I have been taking certain lectures with CA firms who have been concerned about the notification, what this entails. There have been multiple notifications in that week, not just this one. And I'm sure we're all worried about the value-added services that CAs, when I say CAs, well, I say it as a lawyer. Finish my CA, so please do not consider me a child accountant. Though, well, I'm trying to be one. So, on the note of the fact that everyone in my audience is more qualified than me, I'll start up with PMLA. Right? Whenever we are looking at it, can I just have a show of hands with respect to people who have any inkling or any background about the Act, so that I know the composition of the audience? So, I'm seeing 4 hands. 5, 6, so. It's fine, let's start from the basics, right?
yes.
Right? We will start from the very basic because it's strong foundation. It's very important to understand why the PMLA is, as we know, the object and reasons don't necessarily bring out why is it that, they're not binding on any of us, but they're very important as to understand why is what is happening actually happening, right? So the act is to prevent money laundering. The word prevent money laundering is extremely important because the boogeyman of PMLA has always been क्या इसको जेल में डाल दे, उसको जेल में डाल दे. These persons are being prosecuted. This person's property has been attached. But the primary idea behind the PMLA is prevention, right? And when we look at the word prevention, that automatically would mean compliance. How do you prevent something that is basically a financial crime from happening? That would basically boil down to compliance, reporting. And surprisingly, the prevention part of PMLA has been, probably सबसे ज़्यादा नजरअंदाज उसने किया है, right? So and it's there in the name of the act, so you can imagine. So we've always been looking at money laundering, crime, proceeds of crime, attachment. We see a lot of high-profile signatories, being going to jail, not getting bail. These are the sort of conversations that strongly dominate whenever we think about PMLA. Problem is that is also what makes us fearful. As CAs, you all are poised at a very unique place where there are threats as well as opportunities with this act. I always think this, and a lot of CAs do not like it when I say this, but the entire CA institution was set up to have professionals who are above everything else, amazing at compliance. That is, one of the most exclusive things that a chartered accountant can do is sign a balance sheet, right? A statutory audit, which is basically compliance to statutory norms. If you actually look at an extension of that practice area, the PMLA practice, the AML practice fits right in. The notifications also are a recognition of the government of how CAs, CSs, and cost of accountants have moved beyond, these acts were set up in the 1960s, right? But here in 2023, CAs now give so many services, so many aspects are actually covered that are probably unthinkable. Terms that every time I go to a CA, he will, probably throw up a couple of acronyms. I have no idea what those are called. So all I do is smile and nod because every time I catch up with a couple of acronyms, a few more are thrown out. The PMLA is an act to prevent money laundering, to provide for confiscation of property derived from or involved in money laundering, and for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. Newsflash, great news. Everything to do in the first bullet point, you all can help with. Everything is a practice area. Today we are not going to focus on the negatives of PMLA. We are going to look at it as a viable option for CAs to practice it. So today we are going to give you all the basic seed of thought about how your firms or your practices can grow, evolve, and perhaps, if nothing else, have a value addition to your existing client base. It has been realized world over that money laundering poses a serious threat not only to financial systems of countries but also to the integrity and sovereignty. This is what the government always uses to, bring new things into the schedule or, bring new amendments out. And I'm sure we can, we all have our clients. Some of them are good, some of them are notorious. They still are clients. We know it for a fact that the idea of financial crime always is going to be a risk vis-a-vis reward. The basic rationality of PMLA is that if I take the reward away, the risk of the crime happening automatically goes up, right? So if I cook my books, I'm doing it for an ulterior motive. But if I'm not going to get any pecuniary advantage out of it, I would have to be stupid to just do something in my books of account. So when the reward for crime is taken away, crime itself may reduce. Now, how do you take the rewards away? First is you make sure that you have a strong system in place that ensures that you can track these issues that come up. We've been seeing, this is not just in the PMLA, we've been seeing a lot of things that are actually incorporated in the Income Tax Act. We're seeing a lot, if you look at the new income tax amendments that have come out, everyone's talking about the TCS right now on foreign credit cards. What is that? That's compliance. The net tax effect at the end of the day is pretty much zero because you get the TCS credit. But it's compliance, it's at 20%, that is outrage. But the issue behind it is the government is actually looking at adding compliance and maybe, I've heard a lot. I'm going to be fairly informal, so please, I don't know how the other speakers are. But if we keep thinking about, I have to add to this, to this, to this, to this, to my scope of work, but the fees don't necessarily increase exponentially, because I'm very clear that I'm, basically addressing a room full of professionals who are here to take away something for their profession, for their, this is not a client-based conversation for me. This is what I can do for you all to, perhaps take away some aspects for your own use, right? So the bad news is that the increase in compliance is not going to reduce anytime soon, right? The good news is the more the compliance at some point of time there are 3 separate proceedings under the PMLA. We usually tend to look at PMLA as a criminal law. It isn't. There is a civil aspect to it, there's a criminal aspect to it, and obviously there's a compliance aspect to it. The compliance aspect to it has, obviously got a lot more recognition now that we are actually talking about compliance. I know it for a fact that a lot of CA firms weren't even talking about this subject a few months back, and now they're like, fine, if I am being brought under the compliance ambit, and if I have to come out with the SOP, if I have to come out with a checklist, if I have to design a system for my firm's compliance, I might as well copy paste it, edit it, and make sure I can do that as a value added service to the client anyway. It's something that you all may necessarily have to do. So, there is your opportunity cost funda goes out of the question. You have to do it anyway, you might as well, export that service instead of keeping it in-house. So I think the compliance issue has really taken center stage as of today. Civil proceedings are with respect to attachment as well as confiscation of property. We do not talk about this enough because by the very nature of a CA-client relationship, you don't get a lot of cold calls from clients. Most of your clients will be there with you for years, if not decades, if not handed down intergenerationally, if the CA firm is, multiple generations. The good thing from a practice point of view, and the bad thing from the client point of view is the fact that you do not need to be accused of PMLA for your property to get attached under the PMLA, right? So, as a chartered accountant, the first person who my client will run to, if I get a notice that my bank account has been frozen, that my fixed asset has been frozen, some sort of attachment is with that, he's not going to come running to me, a lawyer. He's going to come running to you. At that point of time, whether there is a practice area or not, that is something that intrinsic knowledge is always going to be required, at least to calm it down and to realize what the actual repercussions of that are. Because a notice comes to you, provisional attachment, and you're like, attachment ho gaya. But provisional attachment is not provisional attachment. It is very symbolic in nature, right? We have a lot of misnomers in our law in the title, but the rest of it says something else. So that is why I think we will be focusing a bit on the provisional attachment part of it, especially because I don't know about how many of you all know, but based on my reading of the Act, CAs can practice in the civil aspect of it, right? Because Section 37 of the PMLA defines authorized representative as the income tax, authorized representative under the Income Tax Act, and most of us have been to the tribunals someday. So that is also a good, area that you all can look forward to. The criminal proceedings, unfortunately, you all will have to leave to the lawyers. I'm sure a lot of you all will do that very happy. We started out right at the meat of the matter. I said, let's start out with a good thing. Section 39, the right of the applicant to take assistance of authorized representative and the government to appoint presenting officers. A person preferring an appeal to appellate tribunal under this Act may either appear in person or take assistance of any authorized representative of his choice to present his case before the appellate tribunal. Next slide, please. This is the Income Tax Act that it points to. So we know it for a fact that chartered accountants are covered here, certain classes of people are covered here. So as I was just saying 2 minutes back, it is a viable practice area. How, of course, whether you should do it or not is up to you all, because we do end up with a lot of CAs who practice in the ITAT simply because it is their core competence, because they have seen the matter start out with scrutiny assessment or reopening stage and have taken it all the way to the logical conclusion. And there is a massive mastery on the Income Tax Act. But the point is, for those who are actually interested in it, PMLA is also a viable order. The PMLA tribunal rights of audience are there. Now, the most important aspect of PMLA, what is sought to be taken away is the proceeds of crime. Proceeds of crime is the most important definition under the PMLA. Section 2 I have left the sections up, but the PMLA Act is there. At any point of time, if anyone wants to have any question, we can keep the discussion organic, because otherwise we may run out of time, because we have a lot of area to cover, right? So raising hands and interrupting me is completely fine. Proceeds of crime means any property derived or obtained, directly or indirectly, by any person as a result of criminal activity relating to a scheduled offence, or the value of any such property, or where such property is taken or held outside the country, then the property equivalent in value held within the country or abroad. For removal of doubts, it's hereby clarified that proceeds of crime include property not only derived or obtained from the scheduled offence, but also any property which may be directly or indirectly be derived or obtained as a result of any criminal activity relatable to the scheduled offence. If you see the definition, it's extremely wide. Actually, I've had to give presentations where people ask me, so my client is arrested for PMLA. I'm an auditor or I'm a tax consultant person, and fees are given to me. I mean, can my bank account be frozen? Are those fees that I receive from the client proceeds of crime? Because I mean, they have been obtained illicitly, and the definition is surely wide enough, right? I would find it very difficult to let anything escape this definition, and it's this way by design. This gives rise to a lot of questions that would come to a lot of CAs normally in their practices, and I think these questions will increase, right? For those of you all who are into consultancy, into transaction, those who practice in the company domain, your client goes into insolvency, or if you are assisting someone with an insolvency and the matter goes into IBC, right? I think you all can imagine someone is taking the company into IBC because they want to recover their money, and the ED comes in and says, sorry, we are confiscating all this. How do you resolve that company? How does the IBC system work? What are the effects of the moratorium? What are the effects of everything? If you, the more scenarios we can think of, the more questions arise. Unfortunately, I cannot give any concrete answers today. What I can tell you is that this law is evolving every single day. It is crazy the sort of judgments that are coming out of it, because the issues are so complex on interpretation, because the act's wording are so wide. It's meant to encapsulate everything. In fact, there is a PMLA tribunal judgment that deals with sales fees. A lot of you all mean, yes sir?
What is the amount of threshold when the Money Laundering Act can be attracted?
No, amounts.
No, earlier it was 30 lakh.
Sir, see what happens is the Money Laundering Act itself never had a threshold, right? Even if you see the Income Tax Act application, we usually look at, let me just put a normal concept of it. The Income Tax Act is applicable to everyone, even if you're below taxable limit. You may not have to file the return of income, but it is still applicable. And if you're getting what I'm saying, it's still operating on you. The day you go 1 rupee above it, the full rigors of it, the other sections will suddenly start applying. But it doesn't mean that the act won't apply. So, you will have some monetary threshold for, say, compliances. You may, but with respect to CAs, I haven't seen anything in the notification that says, if there is a 1 rupee transaction that I have with respect to a company that I have set up on behalf of my client, report. Again, I was speaking to someone else. I think we have reached a point of time where what the law basically says is, if you have to think whether you should report or not, report. If you have to think whether you need to qualify an audit report or not, please qualify. It's not just your ICI that you have to worry about anymore. It's SFIO, it's ED, it's DOW. lovely acronyms that we throw around. I mean, these are the most scariest acronyms that I can, bring out in front of you. But the idea is, it's all a part of interagency cooperation to actually curb down on things that the government thinks shouldn't be happening. And I'm sure that that is something that we understand. The entire, we may not like it because it adds to our compliance burden, it adds to the client's compliance burden, definitely. But the number of times when, if it's not our client, we open up the newspaper and we say, yeah, वो department के पास तो ये सब data है. There is a lot of it that is being going around. Now, under the PMLA, there are two major agencies. There is the ED that everyone knows of, and then there is the FIUIND, right? Financial Intelligence Unit India. FIUIND is not merely only for PMLA. One of the stated objectives of FIUIND is to increase inter-government cooperation, right? I mean, we know it every single time when your client comes and says, I have purchased immovable property worth 3 crores this year out of a sudden, and he's a doctor who receives like 30 to 40 lakhs a year. Somewhere at the back of the mind, it's scrutiny assessment by the REF. So it is what it is. I mean, we're talking to professional lawyers. We know, and we can definitely tell the client, if you're going to go ahead with this transaction, when you do a registered deal, that intelligence is going to get shared, and the chances of a scrutiny assessment happening go up exponentially. If the scrutiny assessment doesn't happen, then there's a very good chance that few years later someone will wake up and go by saying that this is an escape assessment. We all know it. We've seen it happen so many times over the years, right? So what are the trigger transactions? What is the monetary level of that trigger transaction is not something that is necessarily laid out. What to prosecute, not to prosecute is clearly only in the purview of the ED. He gets to decide. We don't get to decide. This is not like going to a police station and filing an FIR and saying, please, this is my complaint, please get this done. In fact, there are judgments that say that ED has to decide. A lot of power is given to ED, a lot of discretion is given to the ED. If the ED doesn't want to prosecute you, they won't. Because if you actually go through the schedule, the sort of offences out there, has anyone actually seen the schedule? I was very scared when I saw it. Were any of y'all? Right? I mean, I can't imagine Trademarks Act, Customs Act, Copyrights Act, water pollution. No, but as a professional, I have to worry less about water pollution. Your industry, your big listed client may have to worry about it. Trademark, copyright, these are something that even a small client, that a small shopkeeper that perhaps has been multiple generations, your parents may have audited at that time, and that file is pro bono, उसका पैसा भी नहीं मिल रहा है, right? Those are just something you are maintaining relationships for so many years, and suddenly you realize what you're doing. What is one हल्क या आयरन मैन का टी-शर्ट प्रिंट का एक शर्ट kept somewhere, right, on his shop. And the shop may be on Linking Road. He may be shuttering it every single time the BMC comes, but it doesn't matter. Whether the ED will prosecute him, I don't think so. Can they? Yes. And that is what makes this act really scary. But it is a certainty, right? What evolution there? But let me go, one step beyond. Lot of the CAs, I know for a fact a lot of CAs have stopped signing them to audit. They don't want to do it. The worst thing an profession can do is sign a balance sheet. And I don't see the junior partner very happy about it because they have to sign it. But that is what happens now. Why does that happen? Because I have seen SFI notices come out to CA saying, why have you not qualified this trigger event this year? That qualification is there next year. Right? But suppose in a certain year, financial transaction, we always, whenever we sign balance sheet, there's always some person that we hash it out with the manager saying, do we qualify it in this year or not? Should we qualify it in this year or not? We have to qualify it. ठीक हो जाएगा तो थोड़ा वर्किंग कैपिटल टाइट है थोड़ा ये SIP is an anomaly, it's not going to speak out of experience. But the entire idea behind it is you don't qualify it in that 1 year, and that company, whether listed or not, goes to a bank, uses that balance sheet, picks up a 500 crore loan, right? Because loans are given against certified balance sheets that are authorized, signed by you, and then 3 years later it defaults. You realize in the very next year after the loan is taken, क्या यार ये तो कुछ होने वाला है नहीं, qualified this year. The banks will say, no, sir, next year is pretty but you're like, listen, now my risk capital is done. Right? I'm not going to keep it right now. I can't trust you anymore. I'm qualifying it this year. But the loan is got the trigger event that happened of the default. And SFIO sends a notice to your client. SFIO sends a notice to you saying that SFIO doesn't care about that question that was asked to me in my first day paper ever in audit. Is an auditor, watchdog, or better. I don't think anyone cares about it anymore. Don't even ask it. I don't know. Because I think that question has been answered now. Bloodhound all the way, right? But maybe simply SFIO doesn't care. So here what you will have is, I mean, you all can correct me if I'm wrong and you all feel free to add to it, right? So there is a police complaint that is filed against the company for diversion of funds. So the cops call you. Then the SFIO calls you because they're investigating fraud under the Companies Act. So they call you. ED takes cognizance of it. So well, they call you for not having one qualification in a balance sheet. And I know this sounds very scary, but we all know this can happen. So, just discussing the theme out here, I think the mantra now is if you have to think whether it should qualify or not qualify, if you have to think whether to report or not report. A lot of CAs ask me, do I have to? I'm like, you may not have to. But why should you take your client's headache on yourself, right? This wasn't the case 10, 20 years back. I will lose a lot of popularity for saying this, but I tend to be very conservative. In fact, I know a lot of auditors tend to be very conservative over a period of time in their lives. So anyways, coming back to proceeds of crime. Whether fees that you receive, would that be a part of proceeds of crime? Technically, according to the definition, yes, right? It doesn't matter about the specifics because it doesn't matter whether you're getting it as an audit fee. It doesn't get a, if it's a consultation fee, that's even worse, right? A stat audit fee I can still explain away. What do I do about a certain transaction that I have consulted on and that transaction comes under the ED scanner, comes under anyone else's scanner? What do I do about that, right? Those are live questions, those are questions that will still be answered. Again, the PMLA tribunal has come up with the judgment once that says that, fees received by doctors, CAs, advocates, bona fide professionals rendering service do not need to be attached. But PMLA tribunal is only with respect to attachment and confiscation. If you're actually accused of money laundering, that doesn't happen, right? That is part one. I think it is good sound off. We again had a Madras High Court judgment last year which was very widely circulated because it was a case with respect to issuing certificates. Everyone knows that. Anyone who's read it, please, who has an inkling, please put your hand up because I'll ask questions accordingly. So what they basically said that is saying maybe you're certifying a remittance and documents are given, or maybe a transaction has happened, a purchase has happened, a sale has happened, and you have to issue some certificate on it, right? And the client comes to you like staff certificate, they do clients like these are, you say, I need these documents, give me these documents, you see those documents, you scrutinize them, based on that you give a certificate saying that I have asked for these documents are being given to me, I've gone through these documents, and based on these documents I'm issuing this certificate that this is a fit case follows in co-control. That is the standard template for any certificate, it doesn't matter what certificate you're issuing, right? The Madras High Court says that if such a certificate is issued, then the CA is not at fault with respect to the PMLA activity because he doesn't have to verify whether those documents are genuine or not. You're asking for your clients for documents. He's saying certify this thing. Let's just say certify this thing. You'd say, okay, give me these documents. Please value this. You'd say, give me these documents. You do not have to go into the genuineness of that document. But now, because again, as I said, I have a great audience who's not going anywhere for the next 1 hour, I can ask all uncomfortable questions I always wanted to. Try and take my revenge. What about the statutory audit? Where you are, it is. I will give it. Unfortunately, what has happened is, thanks to the last 2 years, the scope has increased so much that certain parts are not in this PPT. I have them all on my iPad. If anyone of you needs anything, what I do is I open it up and give you those citations. Don't worry about it. They're all with me. I really apologize for that. That is my oversight. Well, I will assist with that. I'm here as soon as the lecture gets over. No problem. What about the statutory auditor, sir? Any volunteers? Because what are we doing there? We're certifying that the fund, based on the documents that are given to you, yes, but we are still certifying that it is a fairly true and fair representation of the financial status of the company. You're not it's not a certificate that you're issuing that you're falling within the 4 corners of this, but you're actually certifying that the accounts, based on your sample, based on your processes, based on your checklist, looking at all the various compliances, your accounting standards, etc., true and fair picture. I don't have an answer to that, by the way. I'm asking out here because according to me, that is a grey area. The Madras High Court judgment at some point of time will be invoked in such a case where an auditor is roped in. Whether it will fall within the 4 corners or not will depend. If anyone of you all has anything to discuss on this, I'll be glad to, because I think it's very pertinent and very, very relevant to chartered accountants. Right? Proceeds of crime, anything and everything. Pakad ke chalo, anything and everything. Offense of money laundering, this is the criminal aspect of it, we need to know. Sorry. Whosoever directly or indirectly attempts to indulge in or knowingly assists, or knowingly is the party or is actually involved in the process. So we are saying attempts to indulge, not indulges, attempts to indulge. Knowingly assists, another red flag. Knowingly is a party, a red flag, or is actually involved in any process or activity connected with the proceeds of crime, including concealment, possession, acquisition, use, and projecting or claiming it as untainted property, shall be guilty of offense of money. I have seen things being defined better. Whether the definition is so wide, perhaps it's perfectly the definition. But what are our red flags? Attempts to indulge and knowingly assist. I mean, if you're just giving advice to a client saying that we are, Switzerland company खोल रही है, sir, दोस्त ने Switzerland में company खोला है, इधर Cayman Island में company खोला है, हम खोले क्या? Yes, why not? And you go through everything. Bona fide purposes. But tax evasion is not a scheduled offense. So, I mean, bona fide purposes as far as actually this is concerned. Tax planning, well, we have Aditya Ajgaonkar, Supreme Court says, well, right. So we don't have to worry about tax planning at all. But, we say Cayman Islands company is being set up and your client does possible. Right? You have no idea about it. But if you actually look to the documentation, company is set up, yes. Skip that because one thing happened, right? So, what do you do in that case? Knowingly assists. If you know that a scheduled offense is going to happen, or money laundering activity is going to happen, these things are red flags that we as professionals need to be concerned about, because you will say, I didn't do anything. I had no idea what the client is up to. You will have to put in a criminal trial. The most scariest part of PMLA, you will get picked up, you will be put in jail. That offense is not bailable. And I have it on good authority that the chances of you getting bail for a year and a half are The last time I said something was yesterday to a serial firm and they said, "Kya kar raha hai?" Because this is not there in the slide, it's just that because we are doing organic. If you are finding deleting or if you are finding deleting not useful, put your hands up and tell me the course correct. But I like these things going organically because then I can give you all what you all want. So I'm basically gauging everyone's reaction and if anyone looks boring, I'm moving on. So they say Q because the two conditions for bail under PMLA are that A, the court has to be satisfied after looking at materials that you have prima facie not committed that crime. You get arrested one day during the investigation stage. There is no charge sheet filed. There may be no evidence of it. How is the court supposed to come to any of that sort of a conclusion? Properly. Let's put it this way. And PMLA is such a big blot on your character now that the court will be like, I don't have enough to say. This is the apprehension and there is a chance this may happen. And the second part, the court needs to look to a crystal ball and come to a satisfaction that when you are out on bail, you may not commit any other offense. How does the court do that? Right? Oh, here's the kicker. These two conditions now are applicable for anticipatory bail also. Right, so even before you're arrested, if you anticipate that you're going to be arrested, twin conditions kick in, and the court should have a prima facie belief that you have not committed this offense. I don't think it's very fair. Even subsequent, subsequent bail applications will attract this. The reason why I say that 1.5 years later, there's a chance of you getting out is because the Supreme Court has read it saying that if you served out 50% of the minimum sentence, you can't have because minimum punishment is 3 years for non-NDPS, non-narcotic related cases. So unless they are accused somewhere in the grand scheme of things of having narcotic related cases, there's a good chance 1.5 years later your bail application will get entertained. 7 years is maximum. In 3.5 years, very good chance. Right? Now, if you see the last point, I'm saying the process or activity connected with the proceeds of crime is a continuing activity and continues till such a time a person is directly or indirectly enjoying the proceeds of crime by its concealment or possession or acquisition or use of projecting it as untainted property or claiming it as untainted property in any manner whatsoever. All the people who practice tax here means that this means no limitation. Continuous activity, chal raha hai. Those will live on 20 years, 30 years, undefined. So you're talking about monetary limits. Practicing in Delhi also. From time to time. I was there for around 3 years. That's when I was with Ishwar.
Is there any chance of this man coming out? He has completed 1.5
that will be side. We'll discuss all that later. I'm here after this is done. Yes. Schedule of offences, the most general one that the IPC related offences, the most dangerous one according to me is 420. Because that is only with respect to cheating. Pretty much any commercial transaction gone bad can be cheating. Civil disputes are very often covered, if a private complaint is made with respect to, trying to get a civil settlement go through, it is usually through the concept of cheating. It could be as simple as your client complaining against you. So there are some very generic offences also in the IPC schedule that can be a trigger point. But again, as we said, the ED doesn't step in every time. Just because a scheduled offence has happened, that does not mean that the ED will take cognizance. Right? So otherwise you could just imagine how busy the ED would be. Daily across Mumbai itself, there may be so many cases, NCs, etc. filed of, sir, is the cheat here. First thing all the builders will go in because the first thing the home buyer does is goes like 2 days delayed possession, sir. Interest not paid, sir. Alternative accommodation not in the same area. Please. I'm not saying it is fair. There are remedies to it. But I'm saying if 420 could be a trigger point every single time, we can imagine the sort of chaos it would cause. But 420 is. There are also certain sections which are available. But once PMLA is that PMLA will not be given. So you can have the primary offenses is bailable, PMLA, non-bailable. You could have 3 years as maximum penalty for the scheduled offense, but 3 years is minimum penalty for PMLA. These were all argued before the Supreme Court in a very, very famous case called Vijay Chaudhary that was last year. That was there. It is for right now the holy grail of all PMLA jurisprudence. It doesn't cover compliance, but pretty much everything else is covered in it. You will see it feature very regularly in our future slides, right? Companies Act, fraud, Information Technology Act, breach of confidentiality and privacy. Tech companies, especially, these could be, I'm sure a lot of y'all have startups as clients or startup founders as friends. A lot of CAs also have been setting up startups now. Tech privacy, breach of confidentiality and privacy is also a scheduled offense. We've already spoken about obviously the copyrights, customs also, and SEBI Act offenses, again manipulative and deceptive devices, insider trading, and substantial acquisition of security. Vijay Madanlal Chaudhary, 2022, SEC Online, SE 929. It's a taxman.com citation because I know a lot of CAs also subscribe to taxman.com. That's 2022, 140 taxman.com, 160 SC. Supreme Court says, this is with respect to provisional attachment because that was originally the subject matter of today's presentation. So we'll come to that. Let me just explain the process extremely in brief because this is relevant for everyone, even if your client is not accused of money laundering. You may have a regular client, a CA, a doctor, or a salaried employee who's purchased a house who suddenly gets a notice under Section 5(1) of the Act saying that, hey, your asset is provisionally attached. These are the reasons. We show that your asset is proceeds of crime. We've seen proceeds of crime pretty much anything, right? And the proceeds of crime does not by itself, unless if you all want me to take you back to the definition, we can. It does not incorporate a proper safeguard for a bona fide purchaser or a bona fide third party holder. The definition itself does not. Luckily, the courts have held it out. What they basically say that what may be proceeds of crime in my hand may not be proceeds of crime in your hand. Right? So that aspect is there. But basically, what happens is you have a nice client. We call him Vijay because Vijay's name is already there. Vijay is a doctor. He just purchased a clinic from someone who's been accused of laundering money. That person being arrested, thrown in jail, etc. They are freezing all properties, but obviously the property is already being sold to Vijay, and what that guy got in exchange was cash or cash equivalent. Could be proper buying transaction, also doesn't matter. Vijay is the upright guy, but because the building was being put up, उसपे 420 का charge है. Saying this is proceeds of crime. Hypothetically, they would be correct. If this was a tax case, Vijay would be in dire straits. He would be. The thing is, Vijay right now doesn't have to worry about all that because Section 5(1) notice is called provisional attachment. But is anyone acquainted with SARFACI? Yeah. So SARFACI, there is something called symbolic possession, where physical possession is not got, but the second that 13(2) notice is issued, you cannot actually go and create any third party right. Section 5(1) something similar earlier. Once Section 5(1) notice is issued, you cannot create any third party rights on that property. Right? That is it. They do not come physically take possession because that is only initial. It is a preventive measure. The idea is that if I come up to you and I say, hey, you've laundered money, all property, names, they have created instrument, everything gone. Money routed to that old Cayman Islands company that we put. We are not rejected. So we've seen this happen, right? We've seen promoters flee the country with. How does that happen? It's a default. Section 151 notice does not need a show cause. Second day issue show cause CA को पहले बोला नोटिस का रिप्लाई देने से पहले ट्रांसफर कर रहे हैं 7 दिन तो है ना रिप्लाई करने को show cause so it will be transferred off. So show cause notice is not required to be given. The procedure is simple. This is Supreme Court in Vijay Madanal Chaudhary. There is a fantastic fact about the judgment that I'll give you all right in the end. Just remind me if I forget. Right? For invoking the second provision, the director or any officer not below the rank of deputy director will have to first apply his mind to the materials on record before recording in writing his reasons to believe that it is certainly a sufficient safeguard to the invocation of power under the second proviso. There has to be a satisfaction that if the property involved is in money laundering is proceeding or not, attached immediately, non-attachment may frustrate the confiscation of proceedings under 2022 Act. Does everyone here practice tax? So everyone knows she can write sharp.
Yes.
Must have been very upsetting, having an entire list of judgments ready in written sufficient format, and now they've changed it to information instead of reasons to believe. All the judgments in the because reasons to believe are here now, right? So the officer needs reason to believe that need to be recorded in writing. Which is why CAs are so brilliantly equipped actually, your tax has everything to do with economic offences, Benami, BP, so I'm one member of CPC and all these other things. We literally call it allied laws. You'll probably call it allied laws here also, right? Why? Because you already have all the tools to practice them, right? They're very similar to it. The interplay is very strong. So reasons to believe, satisfaction, right? The order passed under 5.1 is provisional in nature. Life of this provisional attachment order is only for 180 days, subject to confirmation by an independent adjudicating authority. Under section 5.2, an officer passing provisional attachment order has to immediately forward a copy of this order to adjudicating authority in a sealed envelope. Right? Under section 5.5, the officer making such order must file a complaint before the adjudicating authority within 30 days of the provisional attachment being made. He does all this, and then we come to the actual proceeding. Next slide. Because the adjudicating authority, as the name suggests, is the one who adjudicates. Provisional attachment is only provisional attachment. Section 5, some judgments actually says they show cause notice. And Vodafone found it the hard way when they went in round 1. Why are you filing a writ against the show cause notice? They got relief when they went against the proper proceeding, but against show cause notice, why are you challenging the show cause notice? Right? Section 5.3 of the 2002 Act provides that a provisional attachment order shall cease to have effect on the expiry of the period specified in Section 5.1, that is 180 days or on the date at when the adjudicating authority makes an order under Section 8.2, which was earlier. Under Section 8.1, once an officer making provisional attachment order files a complaint and if the adjudicating authority has a reason to believe that any person has committed an offence under Section 3 or is in possession of proceeds of crime. So, Section 5.1, he has to record reasons. Now, those go to the adjudicating authority. Adjudicating authority has to independently apply its mind and record reasons satisfaction again based on the complaints and the material. Again, second time that I have a reason that the person has committed an offence under Section 3. Section 3 is the offence of money laundering or is in possession of proceeds of crime. I've already told you, you don't need to be accused of money laundering to be in possession of proceeds of crime, right? The adjudicating authority may serve a show cause notice of not less than 30 days. Again, show cause notice, so noted here, right? Or not less than 30 days on such a person calling upon him to indicate the sources of his income, earning or assets, or by means by which he has acquired the property attached under Section 5. Of course, I've handled Section 68, 69, cases of the same thing. They don't say it in those many words, but that's how I understand. Why are they asking that? It's because proceeds of crime, the source is important. Whether the money is tainted or not, whether they actually proceeds of crime, it doesn't matter how many steps removed. Proceeds of crime, right? The entire play is on the definition of proceeds of crime. So they will issue a show cause notice saying, explain the source. Show cause why this should not be treated as proceeds of crime. This also has the second implication, if you all see. One is, again, this reinforces the fact that for confiscation or for attachment, you don't need to have committed the crime of money laundering. The word, the conjugation used is or, not and. You all on the same page? Can we move on? Yes. Any queries? Right? The above show cause notice would require the noticee to produce evidence on which he relies and other relevant material and particulars to show cause why all or any of the properties should not be declared to be the properties involved in money laundering and confiscated by the central government. show cause is very similar. Okay, when you get your 148A notice, 148B notice, show cause as to why this assessment shouldn't be reopened. Same thing, right? Just well, different procedure. Section 8.2 requires the adjudicating authority to consider the reply to sections to the SCM under 8.1 of 2002 Act. This is like a 148A-B-C. Sorry, 148A-C. Right? The section further provides to hear the aggrieved person as well as the officer issuing the provisional attachment and also take into account all relevant materials placed on record before the adjudicating authority. 148A-D requires material on records also. It's not only a show cause reply. Right? So it's very similar to your reassessment. I mean, very broadly, obviously, I'm not comparing the two. I'm just trying to bring out that it's not foreign territory for all of us. After following the above procedure, the adjudicating authority will record its finding whether all the properties referred to in the show cause notice are involved in money laundering or not. Inbuilt safeguards with respect to attachment or adjudication. Now, provisional attachment is done, they send it to the adjudicating authority. Now, this is where the adjudication actually happens because 5.1, they don't need a show cause. The first show cause which we saw was at section 8, right? They've already attached. So, you know, your planning on the running is like, sir, that's already attached here. This means you can't create third party rights. Within 30 days, he has to file a complaint. Adjudicating authority will apply its mind. At that point of time, if they do not find reasons to believe that these are proceeds of crime or that these are properties or this crime is not being done by you, automatically you get a clean sheet and that lapses. Right? On the other hand, otherwise they issue you a show cause notice, as we said. That issue of show cause notice is compulsory. Even if you have an interest in the property, you do not need to be holder of the asset. Otherwise, all the banks whose secured assets are being attached would be in a lot of trouble. I am accused, my property is saying I have mortgaged my property to a bank. The bank should be heard. It's their secured asset, right? So you will say, while passing an order under section A2 read with section A3, there are two possibilities that may happen. The adjudicating authority may confirm the order of provisional attachment, in which case the confirmation will continue up to the period of investigation not exceeding 365 days till the pendency of any proceedings relating to any offence under the 2002 Act or under the corresponding law of any other country before competent court of criminal jurisdiction outside India. There is a body called FATF, Financial Action Task Force, that's a global body, right? Now most of the recommendations that are those that are percolated down. PML is not an India only effort, it is a global effort. Section 50 ke baad there are a lot of sections actually talk about reciprocal arrangement. So if there is a crime that has happened in another country that is scheduled in our country, PMLA can still be legal. Right? Adjudicating authority may disagree and not confirm the provisional attachment order, in which case the attachment over the property ceases. As we have seen. We've all gone to commissioners under 260. We've all gone to, well, we've done 260. We've done everything. Very rarely. But it does happen. So there is hope out there. Because usually ED will not take cognizance of cases that are rubbish. They get to pick and choose. Your assessing officer doesn't necessarily get to pick and choose. If he picks and chooses, audit obligation under. He gets to pick and choose. So they will not care about someone who has a stall out there necessarily. They will care about something where there is such a flood of information that a lot of people are involved in it, right? Though technically they can, let's not forget it, because we don't want to give them anything. Section 8.4 of the 2002 Act, upon confirmation of the order of provisional attachment, the director or other officer authorized by him shall take possession of the property attached. Supreme Court has said it's not necessary to attach. So, in case that order of attachment is confirmed, you can go in writ if they actually want to take physical possession of it. Next, please. Under section 8.5, on the conclusion of a trial for an offence, sir, maximum sentence 7 years. Average lifetime of a criminal trial. On the conclusion of a trial for an offence under the 2002 Act, if the special court finds that the offence of money laundering has been committed, it will order that the property involved in money laundering or the property which has been involved in the commission of offence of money laundering shall stand confiscated to the central government. Most important aspect. Only the special court can order confiscation. The adjudicating authorities cannot. Attachment, yes. The ED can swoop in, try to take possession, yes. But confiscation, absolute divesting, can only happen by the special court. Usually it will happen after the conclusion of the trial. If there is no offense of money laundering, there is a question of confiscation, right? Under section 8(6), if the special court on the conclusion of trial finds out that no offense of money laundering has taken place and the property is not involved in money laundering, it will release the property that has been attached to the person entitled to receive it. Now, if this was already confiscated, there was a question of releasing it. Attachment. Under section 8(7), if the trial before the special court cannot be conducted because of death of the accused or because the accused is being declared a proclaimed offender, then the special court on application of the director claiming to be entitled to possession of a property in respect of which an order under 8(3) is passed, either to confiscate or to release the property to the claimant after considering the material before it. Your criminal proceedings lapse after the main accused dies. You cannot put the burden of a crime on the estate of the deceased. The civil consequences are not that easily escaped, because if the property in charge is procedural crime just over the accused dies, it doesn't mean that if a reopening is done and if the notice is issued in the hand of the legal heir, it doesn't matter whether the assessee died or not. It's a charge on the estate that will have to be adjudicated and the government will be covered. Again, parallels. Under section 8(8), when a property is confiscated, special court may direct the central government to restore a property to a person with a legitimate interest in the property who may have suffered a quantifiable loss as a result of money laundering, provided that such a person may not have been involved in money laundering and must have acted in good faith and suffered a considerable loss despite taking all reasonable precautions. Qualified people, holders. Small consolation, the trial will take years. Order passed by adjudicating authority goes in appeal to the PMLA. So, let's be very clear. Appealable order, again, no writ, we go to PMLA tribunal. From PMLA tribunal goes to the jurisdictional high court. The adjudicating authority right now is in Delhi. If your crime has happened in Bombay, if attachment officer is in Bombay, adjudicating authority will be in Delhi, matter will go to Delhi, will represent there. The PMLA tribunal will again be in Delhi because there is only one seat. Appeal from there will come back to Bombay High Court, not to Delhi High Court. Right? It comes back to High Court and from there SLP to Supreme Court. That is your attachment proceeding. With respect to criminal trials, that's not a question because every jurisdiction will have a designated special court, so the trial will happen in Bombay, appeal will go to, will be a sessions trial, special court is usually a sessions court designated. Unlike in income tax where it is a magistrate court, right? From sessions court, high court, Supreme Court. If any person aggrieved of order of confirmation of provisional attachment can file an appeal before the appellate tribunal under section 26(1). The appellate tribunal on receipt of an appeal after giving the parties an opportunity of being heard will pass an order as it thinks fit, either confirming or modifying or setting aside the provisional attachment order appealed against. Further, the order passed by the appellate tribunal and is appealable before the High Court under section 42, and any question of fact or question of law arising out of the order passed by the appellate tribunal, very different from what we have in income tax. The only substantial question of law is anything. Exactly. I will just take a water break. If anyone has any query or anything that needs to be addressed at this time, you can just let me know while
IBC proceedings supersedes this.
It is still being litigated on multiple forums that would depend upon the events. It depends upon the event, nature of security, everything. I mean, there are questions also about me simply being a bank. Forget your IBC, I have lent money to you, you have purchased a house, it is a secured asset, right? And the default happens, then I go to the police and I say, this guy has defaulted. And PMLA proceedings are taken out against you. Here is the beauty of the entire transaction. ED says that hamara property hai. I am the bank, I am the one who is affected, but ED wants to take the property. There are litigations regarding that also. In fact, banks are the maximum litigants in front, banks, NBFCs, especially in the housing department. Maximum amount of litigations before the appellate tribunal. So, if you all were looking about how to increase this as a practice area, fantastic. Yeah, it's,
कितनी हो जाएगा तुम्हारा कितना
2:30.
नहीं नहीं we can later.
that we are creating a charge for in MCH. So is there any risk that on the behalf of MCH, of times that we are creating charge on mortgage and I can't. You see, I'll tell you the problem that happens. Very honestly, the problem that is happening out here is that there are divergence of opinions in the basis also, because Section 8 says one thing, Section 5 says one thing, IBC says something else, Surface says something else. So, and honestly, can ask any of law in terms the ones that they did not take as elective university conflict of thoughts. They learned it on the job much later. Unfortunately, it is very underappreciated. But it is the most important and it is being litigated. In fact, there is a citation I may have, I don't think it's in the slide, of Delhi High Court very recently that has looked at the effect of the moratorium under IPC vis-a-vis your attachment proceedings, right? But then you're looking at moratoriums. No court is going to lay down a new Bible because that will be like legislating. The court will only deal with what is before it. And these transactions, let's be very clear, the people who complicated financial structures are chartered accountants. Sir, we are not complaining. Neither are the clients, neither is the government. But I'm saying, every time something comes up, I'm sure you go to a state will find a way to escape. I mean, that is the nature of things. It's not even illegal, it's not bad, it's not an impeachment of a serious character. The very simple thing, if there is a viable legal structure to be put in, why should I not be doing it? I'm protecting my client's interest, right? As a lawyer, I will protect my client's interest. Why shouldn't the CA? As long as I'm not breaking the law. It's that simple. But the question here is that how do I give a one-size-fit formula to any structure that may be there, right? Now, a bank will have a standard format for issuing of a loan, and different banks will not have a standard format. Like, if anyone has seen surfacing matters going on, you all will see that most banks have an arbitration clause. All of them say that we will unilaterally appoint an arbitrator. Supreme Court 5 years, 6 years back said that cannot be done. It is still there. It is still being done. If you have any client under surfacing proceedings, then he will go to the DRT to get a stay. But the quantum will be decided in front of a sole arbitrator, mostly done by a banker. Suppose you got a assignment of charge creation on the behalf of NBFC. So what is the risk that the person is there? Because we see the mortgage deed, application deed. What is your risk? Look, we are giving the DST and all, for that we have verified everything.
That is certification.
Yes, no, I'm saying what are you looking at? The activity of money, whose behalf are you appearing? Who has given you the mandate?
Normally,
The bank is not this thing, the bank is never the accused. The bank is not going to do money laundering. In fact, to such a level that if a bank is accused of money laundering, the court said it can't be the bank. You can't say State Bank of India did money laundering. It is a manager or a officer of the bank will do it. So if the bank gives you a mandate, it's not something I believe you have to worry about. You do your job diligently, but the worry is if again, as I said, my client goes take my balance sheet to the bank. They used to, I don't know, small balance sheets that are blindly signed by some random rotten apples here who earlier did not have to deal with the repercussions of the action, right? So you have a signed balance sheet, they go to the bank, 5 crore का लोन लिए 5 crore हो गया 5 crore सामने इसको पता भी नहीं है डिफॉल्ट दे रहे मेरे पास कुछ है ही नहीं 5 crore का ये लो सर. In that case, yes. So the mandate is from the purchaser, not the NBFC, not the bank. If bank or NBFC is giving the mandate, unless you are actually involved, then the manager knows, because there is often very collusion between the people issuing the loan, the manager. Often, if something goes bad, usually, if the diligence level is lower, it is usually someone who handles the mandate pay the price. Then yes, you will have a problem. But if it is a clear mandate from bank, I don't think it is something to be worried about. Someone else said, yes, giving the question only, generally what is happening is that NBFC will give mandate, the company professor, so either the company secretary or chartered accountant,
who are being informed by company that charge has to be created on the asset. If the asset is a immovable asset, the charge has to be created post which the disbursement will happen from the banks or the NBFC. In that case, it is the professional of a client who is a body corporate or a company who is going to file the charge form by affixing his or her DSC.
Yeah.
So at that point of time, the question arises that the professional who is certifying the charge form for the client as well as the banks and NBFC from whom the disbursement is to be obtained, he is not aware whether the immovable assets or the movable assets are the proceeds of crime or not.
Correct.
At the later stage, it gets proved, say after 3 years, 5 years down the line, that if for out of the proceeds of crime, only the charge has been created. So then there is no contradiction because the company law, the Sarfati, and other laws are not in the harmony. But that point of time, how to deal with this?
You're not certifying that the assets are proceeds of crime or not.
Yeah,
So,
not just
I'm not being contrary, I'm just saying, what is the certificate? It goes back to our first discussion. These are the documents that have been placed on me. This is the relevant framework. I have, you know how they say, what is important. I don't think this is short or more than enough in detail. When I was doing my LLM in UK and my subject was money laundering, they said a professional has a duty of reasonable care. That is, there you're saying watchdog versus bloodhound, right? So if you're doing your professional duty, what is your answer? Say this, I have followed it. This is the statutory audit checklist, I have followed this. This is my audit file. This has been maintained exactly as I have to. That is your defense. Your audit file is not something to give to the government honestly as something that they ask for. It is an insurance policy in your hands that I have done my audit diligently. So if you are looking at a document and doing exactly what is required, if you're not doing anything wrong, the chances of you actually being employed in something like this is very low. Secondly, again, we are looking at two different things out here. You're talking about the crime of money laundering and you're talking about attachment, right? Under attachment, you don't have to worry about anything at all. Crime of money laundering would be very factual. What documents are given to you? What was that person doing? What was this person doing? Someone will have named you or not. In the deposition, someone says, नहीं मैं CA को मिला ये CA को टेंशन मत लो तो तेरे दोनों फिलहाल होगा. But then we are going into the criminal act. That is all very factual. Just because I certify something, will that thing very simply, as I say, anything. What you are basically asking me, can it be deemed to be this in very clear language? Deeming provisions only civil law. How can you deem something in criminal law? Criminal law, everything is a matter of evidence. You can at best shift the burden of proof. Deeming provisions, again, okay, very simply, attachment cannot happen. You can get into trouble for compliance. Right? Your bank may remove you from the panel. Your CA, you know, all those, the other laws that you mentioned, yes, you can get into trouble with that. Right? But it's not fait accompli. Just because something, as long as you do your job diligently. Supreme Court, Vijay, Madanand, I'm quickly going through case laws. So we'll get back in 10 minutes. Because we are on a clock. What I'll do is I'll finish the slides. We'll discuss it and for me also till you all ask me to get out, right? Because we started a bit late. I'm sorry, but I will get back to you, I promise. Right, sir? Supreme Court in case of Vijay Madanand Chaudhary observed that in order to initiate action of provisional attachment under Section 5, there need not be a pre-registered criminal case in connection with scheduled offence. Anyone who's actually worried about money laundering or wanting to realize how the law is today, this is the last authoritative one thing encompassing all judgments on PMLA because constitutional validity of various aspects was challenged and a fairly lengthy judgment has been passed. So they're saying for 5-1 there doesn't need to be a scheduled offence out there. Why? Because 5-1 says what? Proceeds of crime that are going to be missing. So if the ED thinks that these are proceeds of crime and should be transferred, that is enough. Why? Because the act is prevention of money laundering. It is not punishment for money laundering. I want to prevent money laundering, right? So I should be able to attach an asset provisionally, even right now. By my adjudicating authority days later, right? So there not need be a pre-registered criminal case in connection with the scheduled offence. In fact, they go one step ahead. They say in ED investigation में पता चला कि scheduled offence is there. They can go to the local police station and file one. Why? Because in criminal law, the complete state will prosecute. So in state of Maharashtra versus so state of Maharashtra versus so. The list is very specifically anyone. So the ED can complain, you can complain, anyone can complain about the scheduled offence. In case of Vishal Packers and printers, this is a tribunal judgment. The appellate tribunal held that the occurrence of a scheduled offence is a substrate of condition giving rise to any proceeds of crime, and consequently, application of 5(1) of the Act of proviso without a scheduled offence being committed, the proceeds of crime coming into existence does not arise. This is the tribunal. Supreme Court 2022. Everything again is what we usually see is that Supreme Court paints with a very broad brush on the canvas that we give it within the facts. The fate of every question is going to be different. We've seen it everywhere, right? We've seen it in McDowell and Reliance Petrol Products. We've seen it everywhere where things get distinguished on a margin again and again. Also, as I promised you, I'm giving you an interesting note. Vijay Madanna Chaudhary shall read the newspapers, and most CS do, but mainly the Economic Times and the Financial Express. Review petition has been admitted on specific grounds. So it may be that when it comes up for review, actually some aspects change. Will be a limited change, but the review petition has been allowed. Right? Next one, please. In case of Mahanivesh Oil, the Delhi High Court held that a mere mechanical recording that a property is likely to be concealed and transferred or dealt with would not meet the requirements of Section 5(1). All CAs are already acquainted with this. Reasons to believe cannot be merely mechanical, right? Next one. Supreme Court in Vijay Chaudhary observed that it is only upon recording satisfaction regarding the twin conditions referred to in subsection 1 that the authorized officer can proceed to issue an order of provisional attachment of such proceeds of crime. Important because some judgments had earlier said that not recording of those reasons would be procedural lapse and a technical lapse and could be curable. CAs no, non-recording of reasons to believe jurisdictional effect, this thing defect, right? We always challenge it and usually get a relief based on that. Vanpig Ports, sorry, did I give a mistake? Okay. Right? Vanpig Ports, Telangana High Court held that the requirements under Section 5(1) being the foundation for attachment, either provisional or confirmation or in continuation, in the absence thereof of the provisional attachment order as well as the confirmation order of the adjudicating authority would be illegal, null and void without being jurisdiction. Court also held that the properties so attached should be released and such an order can be passed by the appellate tribunal itself. If the requirements of 5(1) are not met at a part of provisional attachment, again they say release. 5(1), 8(1), all of these about the jurisdictional requirements have now been strengthened by Vijay Madanlal Chaudhary. Because once Supreme Court says it, now everyone will fall in line. Earlier, whatever judgments that you will see out here that may be fence sitters would necessarily be before 2021. If I quote a judgment that is pre-2021, it always has to be now read with Vijay Chaudhary, right? The appellate tribunal in JMD Media Private Limited held that the mandate of Section 5 of the PMLA is that the director must formulate the reason to believe based on material in his possession. The reason to believe must be based on an objective satisfaction of the officer and based on material in possession. Everything that we are already acquainted with. Next, please. Can the attachment of a property under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act continue reasons recorded were not recorded in writing? In Guwahati High Court in 2020 held that when the Deputy Director has reasons to believe that non-attachment of property may lead to frustration of proceedings, if such reasons are not recorded in writing, provisional attachment could be stayed as an interim measure in light of the condition precedent contained within second proviso of Section 5(1) of PMLA. Again, Vijay Chaudhary has come after this. So, Vijay, I'll tell you the difficulty that actually happens with respect to PMLA proceedings and attachment. Because the stringent conditions can only be justified with adequate safeguards. But when you go to a court, right, and you say these safeguards have not been met, despite my client is being crooked, that is where the problems happen. Very simple example that will probably resonate with everyone. We know it for a fact that last 4 years, everything that has been happening, all the action in income tax is rates under 148A, right? The old regime, new regime. Judgments come out. Brilliant judgments expounding the law come out because they see the facts, they see the law, and they say this is how it is. The judgment comes out, it gets reported next day, entry operator, file writ petition. And then the High Court said, okay, am I saying that an entry operator is also going to get off on this? Then qualification of code. Distinguishing is done. We've all seen it, right? We've had so many cases of these regularly happening everywhere, right? So the problem is again, the end date of section 5.1 would again depend on the facts of the matter. You will have to show they are not recorded when they were supposed to be recorded, they are not in writing, whether they are supposed to be furnished or not. Again, furnishing 5.1 doesn't say that the reason recorded need to be furnished to you. Delhi High Court says it. Principles of Natural Justice. In Surya Narayana Prabhakara Gupta, the Andhra Pradesh High Court, now Telangana, held that the period of stay would be excluded in completing the statutory period after provisional attachment would be lifted. Again, everyone in income tax already knows this. If a stay is granted by a High Court, that period stands extended with respect to the AO passing the final order. You cannot then say, yeah, at least the time, nikal gaya. Something very similar to that. The PMLA Act was amended after this. That statute provides that not only will a period of stay be given by High Court stand excluded, but a further period of 30 days after stay is lifted shall be granted to provisional attachment. Again, we are all acquainted with these aspects. It is actually so easy to explain all this to see. That's all. I can just end everything by saying, you all already know everything. Does it automatically follow that the moment any person is found to be in possession of any proceeds of crime, provisional attachment must be made by presuming that the proceeds of crime are likely to be concealed, transferred, or dealt with? Twin conditions 5.1. Very simply, I have proceeds of crime. Can they attach? Am I likely to transfer? Is also something that they have to record satisfaction on. Bombay High Court Digambar Kama 2021 held that on a plain reading of provisions of 5.1, it is apparent that director or the authorized officer has powers to provisionally attach properties involved in money laundering. However, such property is hedged by the crucial circumstance that the director or authorized officer must have a reason to believe that the two predicates in clause A and B are also fulfilled. Both of them need to be fulfilled, right? Vijay Madan Lal Chaudhary said that there has to be a satisfaction if the property involved in money laundering or proceeds of crime are not attached. Such non-attachment will be frustrate confiscation. Vijay Madan Lal Chaudhary, last week the Supreme Court has refused to go into the correctness of Vijay Madan Lal Chaudhary. For those who actually looked at newspapers, again, there was a challenge that is with respect to certain aspects where they said, please refer it to Constitution there. They said nothing doing. Vijay Chaudhary is there, review petition is there. Law will take its course. Right? So, if you see Vijay Chaudhary anywhere, as of today, I will say last words. 3-judge bench. 3-judge division bench of the Supreme Court. Mapatlal Industries, Supreme Court held that an act cannot bar and curtail remedy under 226 or 32 of the Constitution. Court expounded that a constitutional court would certainly take note of the legislative intent manifested in the provision of the act and would exercise its jurisdiction consistent with provision 1997. Right? Radhakrishna Industries, it was held that an alternative remedy itself does not divest High Court of its power under 226 of Constitution in an appropriate case. Again, though there are multiple judgments here, I'm going to give you all a very simple pointer. You already know this, and you all go to an advocate saying, yeah, reassessment notice has been issued, we want to quash it. We have to give them, what you all will basically sit down and discuss is whether there is a jurisdictional defect or not. Why should the High Court interfere? Even then, if you file something, the High Court may say, why are you coming here? You have an appeal. So, for those who may not already know this, because I know a lot of law students don't know this, CAs usually know it, experience is 100%. The basic requirement for filing a writ is very simple. Violation of principle of natural justice and fundamental rights is okay. Otherwise, you can't go to writ. But when will a writ be entertained? Please remember this for any law that you may be consulting for your clients on. There has to be the absence of an alternative and efficacious remedy. Both. Even if there is an alternative remedy, the High Court may entertain it if they see the need to do so. The job is to actually bring out the gravity of what loss is there. If it is merely something that can be handled in appeal, why should the High Court, why should they short circuit the procedure? Otherwise, everyone will go in writ, no one will go in appeal. Right? So, alternative efficacious remedy, all these judgments are with respect to that. Right? These are, a lot of them are general laws, they're not necessarily PMLA matters. So if you look them up, you'll probably not get PMLA citation, right? Because clearly, State of Himachal Pradesh, not a PMLA matter. It is a central agency, central law, right? State of India. The High Court of J&K held that it is possible for a High Court to interfere in a case where show cause notice is issued without jurisdiction or competence, or the same is a result of malafide on part of an issuing authority, or same is issued in violation of statutory provision. The reason why I'm bringing these out, despite me saying that you already know it, is because of the divergence of opinion on show cause notices and when and how they can be challenged. So I found a 2020 judgment that allowed a show cause notice to be challenged, which is why it is there. Otherwise, usually show cause notice, courts will steer clear of. Next. Vijay Chaudhary, again. Supreme Court observes that the attachment under Section 5 must only be in respect of property which appears to be proceeds of crime and not all the properties belonging to concerned person. Simple. If the proceeds of crime in your hand are supposed to be 20 crores, they cannot reach 40 crores. Yesterday I was having a discussion with CAs. They said very simply, I am a purchaser of property, I have sold it, that property is tainted, will mine be attached? You know, you're a bona fide purchaser. You give it money, that money should be attached. Otherwise, it's double attachment. I think it will be easier if I give the reverse example, right? If I am the seller of a property and I receive tainted money, what will get attached? The property in that person's hand or the money in mine? Okay. No. It will be that property in that person's hand because that is tainted. See, value equivalent is important. I am a bona fide purchaser. I have got the money, right? That money may be proceeds of crime, but it is not proceeds of crime in my hand. If it is a one-on-one transaction, if it is 40 crores and he's got value worth 40 crores, why should my money be attached? His 40 crores worth of property can be attached. And once his 40 crores worth of property can be attached, there's no question of attaching my 40 crores that I have received as a bona fide third-party purchaser. Suppose they find out that the property is worth 30 crores, then at best they can perhaps attach 10 of my crores. Double attachment, sir, just like we talk about double taxation. Right? So, that is my interpretation of it. The very simple thing which we can take as a defense if anything comes up. There cannot be double attachment. If proceeds of crime, it's very clear that if today you have to go out there and say, yaar, mujhe 20 lakh de, and he says, मैंने वो 20 लाख तो मेरे दोस्त को दे दे, you cannot recover 20 lakhs from both of them. It has to be from one. Now, if he is giving those 20 lakhs to someone else in exchange for a property, and if you got that 20 lakhs for the property, where is the question of attaching 20 lakhs? That is why there is a protection to the bona fide purchaser, though it is not explicit in the act. Because double attachment cannot be done. And there are judgments to this effect. Does anyone have any question on this specific point? Because I think this is quite a very point that may be used a lot of times where your clients are bona fide purchasers or sellers. Anything? Can we move on? Yes. Yes, I got what you're saying. Adjudicating authority is only in Delhi, so yes, you have to go to Delhi. Adjudicating authority is only in Delhi, so you have to go to Delhi, but it will not be a summons into show cause. As we always do it, it is always better to have written submissions filed. They call for a 10%. For adjudicating authority, no? Or investigation, sir. So that is section 50. That is not with respect to this. They will obviously, section 50 says it's investigation. Now, if you are wanted for a police case in Mumbai and if you decide to go to Bangalore, can they not call you to Mumbai? They look at it very clearly. So if an offence has happened in Delhi, but the CA is sitting in Bombay, they can always tell the CA, please appear with us in person. The thing is, section 50, I believe it's 50, gives them an option to call either you or through an authorized representative. If you all see income tax prosecution notices, also they say either appear in your summons through you or authorized representative. But that is the ED's call. If the ED doesn't put that through an authorized representative, you have to go. So you had an earlier question also that I promised to come back to. Was it this or there is more also? Earlier also you had a question that I had promised that I will come back to. Was it this or is there a second one? Right. Sir, if it is a specific fact, then we'll get to it once the lecture is over, right? Yes. 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 I know cases where this is happening in Hyderabad with respect to microloan finance. What actually happens is, sir, yes, sir, but you have to show that it's an investigation. The point is they have to know now what will happen is when your clients are caught there, they will go there, they will say that these are business transactions. That is how the investigating officer will be able to distinguish between proceeds of crime and bona fide transactions. It is like going to a police station. If the SR police station calls me today, I cannot say I'm staying in Bandra, so I will not go there. I will go there. Because maybe I have to go there doesn't mean I'm in trouble. My transactions are clean. I will have to convince the investigating officer. He will say, "Sir, ये हमें news मिला है that you had met with this person on this day." I said, "Yes, I met with this person, but I met him here. This is what happened here." Usually they send a questionnaire also. Your clients may have received a questionnaire also of data.
Furnishing.
Pardon?
To furnish information.
Yes, to furnish information. Sorry, anything else? Otherwise, we'll talk in the end. Right, sir?
Excuse me.
Yes?
For diversification of funds from company, right? Is there a necessity that company must have NPA in the hands of bank?
No, no, so I think now we're getting on a different time. What is required for PMLA is the existence of a scheduled offense. Right? See, whatever I can fit diversion of funds into it is enough. Why should it need to be an NPA?
But
I'm saying very simple thing. Today, if I want to put you in trouble, I will go to local police station and I will say that you promised me that if I came here today, you will give me 1 lakh rupees. I walked out, I asked for 1 lakh rupees, you did not say no, so you have cheated me. If ED wants 1 lakh rupees is procedure. I do not see that NPA classification, all these things. Classification of NPA is with respect to a specific bank or NBFC with respect to RBI guidelines. Yes.
The billing issue over X company.
Yes.
And we received the payment from the Y company.
Yes.
It is covered under the prevention of money laundering. Yes, because what
It's
is
a very, very general question. Again, the thing is, what is the allegation? See, so whenever you're looking at anything to be covered under money laundering, what is the most important first question is, what exactly is a scheduled offense that is made out? Merely receiving money from someone else may not be a scheduled offense. Especially if you have an agreement with that person saying that
because we are not having any agreement with the buyer from where we have received the money. We have
you have an agreement
issued
with
the
the person,
invoice to X.
Yes.
But we have received the money from the Y.
Yes.
Then we do not know what type of business, what legitimacy that Y is having.
Correct.
So is it going to be covered under the?
That act simpliciter may not be. Simpliciter. What happens between X and Y, we don't know. The money for the people. Yes, no, sir. The money trail will come to you. See, we are saying no. I think this question is not about the refund of money. It is we don't know where Maya has got money from, where and why they go under.
Why he is going to? Why is he?
Yes. So then he will ask you the same thing. पैसा कहाँ से आया? क्यों आया? Why did I give it to you? If why is under investigation.
So in that case, how should we protect our company?
You should not access protect. You cannot protect your company against that.
Merely by issuing a letter to the Y that what.
Get information from X.
Exactly.
Before the money comes in, X should say that this person is in, this person is in, or just tell
Or we can cancel the invoice raised to the X and issue in favor of the Y.
it was. You have not sold to Y. You sold to X. You cancel invoice. So the invoice that is fraud. His query is not over, ma'am. You're getting
How to handle this?
Again, now we're getting very specific. So after this, we have a little bit to go through. So yes, please. Do you want the mic? I understand your question also, but I think that will be very factual. And there is no way, see sir, there is no way to protect against something that you don't know happening. The only one who's truly sukhੀ in life is someone who's taking sannyas. Sorry. We'd like to believe it, sir. That was the entire undercurrent of sannyas. But we'll quickly just run through this. We are technically upfront. How much time do I have and how long do you all want to? Yeah. Hello. Can. So what I'll do is I'll come here. We'll just run through the slide because 12:30 is there and we are almost out of time. Yes, Mridula Kapoor's help. If you all can't hear me, just make a noise and we'll listen. Where predicate offence was of disproportionate assets and once the amount of disproportionate assets was ascertained and confiscated, properties over and above the said value could not be said to be proceeds of crime. We just discussed that. Next one. Delhi High Court Gautam Khaitan held that Section 8 of PMLA rules out by necessary implication the requirement to issue a notice and hearing all at the stage of provisional attachment. This is with respect to Section 5. They're saying if Section 8 gives you a statutory right to be heard, Section 5 doesn't need to be, it's only provisional. Right? Vijay Madan Lal Chaudhary, the Supreme Court observed that the sweep of Section 5(1) is not limited to the accused named in the criminal conspiracy related to the scheduled offence. It would apply to any person, not necessarily being the accused, if he is involved in any process or activity connected with the proceeds of crime. Right? Appellate Tribunal in case of Shivgamani held that on perusal of the language of Section 5(4), it appears that by attaching properties without any notice, the Directorate of Enforcement had deprived the appellants from the right to enjoyment of property. As per Section 8, adjudicating authority ought to have given opportunity of being heard. Whether attachment would lapse in non-filing of charge sheet, appellate tribunal held a prosecution complaint filed under 5(1) within 90 days and confirmed provisional order. It was held that amendment is prospective, not retrospective. Appellate tribunal held that Section 8(3)(a) of the PMLA has been amended by 2018, wherein a limitation period has been provided for continuation of attachment post confirmation of attachment and retention. Whether the entire proceeds of crime are already secured in court, can other properties be attached? When it was admitted that if what happens is even police etc. have power to attach, if it's already attached, we've gone no double attachment, right? So this is when the alleged proceeds of crime was secured with the CBI, the appellant cannot be compelled to secure the amount again. Properties held by bona fide third-party parties be attached under Prevention of Money Laundering Act very clearly under 5(1). Yes, provisional attachment can be done under Section 8. Reason to reply should be given to you, will be given to you. Give reply to it and prove your bona fides. Next, please. Properties of persons not named as an accused under PMLA be attached under provisions. Yes, again, not an accused. We've already read Vijay Chaudhary that says it's not required because if you're a bona fide third party purchaser, even if you're not an accused, you will be in possession of proceeds of crime that are sought to be attached. Provisional attachment can be made by authorities without forwarding a report under 173. This is now older. Now it says in ordinary situation, no order of provisional attachment can be issued until a final report has been forwarded, but now an amendment has been done in the Act. These slides will be circulated, so please excuse me because I just want to make sure that we cover this. Thanks. Can an attachment be made in India with regards to commission of a scheduled offence in a foreign country corresponding to a scheduled offence? Yes. Section 5(1) allows it. Can property of equivalent value in India be attached even if proceeds of crime are held in India? This was the subject matter of litigation because what was actually defined in proceeds of crime is said that if the proceeds are taken out of India, then equivalent value. Supreme Court says that sounds like rubbish. It has to be equivalent value. Just because equivalent value in India doesn't mean that it cannot be attached. This again is the reason why I said that if the buyer and seller, if the money comes, there is no double attachment because equivalent value will cover it. Even if the flat itself is proceeds of crime, which I am purchasing, the money I have given for it is equivalent value. Right? Next one, please. Does attachment act survive after acquittal of accused? Well, if he's been acquitted from scheduled offence, that is the end of it. Right? Next one. Provisional attachment can be passed against property of a family member. Well settled law, if something wrong is done by father or relation, son cannot be published. This may be useful. Property gifted in favor of appellant who was a minor. Attachment order against the minor's property not sustainable. The second one, appellant was a senior citizen practicing advocate, not aware of the tainted money will pretend it's not advocate, chartered accountant will still apply. Even otherwise, an offence committed by a son cannot be attributed to his father unless father has linked to. A lot of the time, family people's attachment is done. Jewelry and all, also there are judgments regarding to it, right? Provisional attachment can be passed against property of a family member. Relatives seek release of jewelry attached. There's the Delhi High Court where party seeking were not party. They got the jewelry back, but they gave deposited the money, right? Next one. Enforcement directorate can attach for a value equivalent without considering reasonable market value. This is important. I'm sure CAs are interested in this. Value defined as to be harmoniously read and will be value taken on date of acquisition only to those situations where proceeds of crime are being attached, and such application cannot be extended to situations where property equivalent are being attached. See, very simple thing. I bought a house in Delhi 20 years back out of proceeds of crime, out of a bribe I took. At that time, it was 8 lakhs. Today, it is 20 lakhs. What is the value that has to be put to it, right? That is the point of contention. Next. Can the Directorate of Enforcement attach properties of equivalent value as proceeds of crime without trying to trace an actual proceeds of crime? No. Don't take shortcuts. That's basically what they have said. Appellate tribunal said that if the acquired property is not traceable or disposed of, only then property can be attached in lieu thereof. But at least try to find out the value property itself. Next. Property that has been sold to bona fide third party before provisional of attachment order, again, it will be mandatory issue of notice under section 8. As I said, bona fide third party purchaser doesn't have a blanket protection, he will get right to be heard. Presence of a scheduled offence is a sine qua non for purpose of action initiated under PMLA. Don't worry, last slide, so we will get here soon. Delhi High Court held that offence of money laundering is not to be appreciated in isolation but is to be read with offences listed under the schedule of the Act. Presence of a scheduled offence is necessary. Vijay Madanlal Chaudhary said the possession of unaccounted property acquired by legal means may be actionable for tax violations. Tax violations, yet will not be regarded as proceeds of crime unless the concerned tax legislation prescribes such a violation as schedule of under the PMLA. Basically means income tax offence, no PMLA. GST offence, no PMLA because they're not scheduled. I think that should cover. Thank you. I am available for a bit because I know I have not covered everything. Unfortunately, the scope has extended and we are on a deadline. Thank you so much for being patient.
Thank you.
And sorry for.
So, on behalf of WRC and all our fraternity members present here, I would like to present a vote of thanks to you, sir. We really had a very insightful eye-opener session on this PMLA confiscation section 5 subsection 1, and I believe most of our queries have been addressed by our speaker, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Also would like to mention there's a QR code outside, and that QR code has AI enabled, wherein once we scan, it's going to search for our photo and it would give us all those pictures relating to this event wherein our photo is captured. So do take a try on that one. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. I am checking to meet if someone wants to say, but what happens with the slide is then it looks so much like advertising. I made the mistake of putting in the first slide. How much advertising? Yes, I'll get it. I'll give the number. It is 9819 641. Yes. Thank you so much. I will give it. But just give it to me. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, well, technically for everyone else I'm specialized in tax, but then I would be a hypocrite if I tell you to expand your practice areas and then stick to income tax myself, right? So yes, I do a lot of PMLA. We've come out with this book that was launched by Taxman just most of the slides, whatever was there on the slides with judgment, including the Madras High Court, are available here. Ma'am, that will be circulated. It will be circulated by WRC. Is there?
रिकॉर्डिंग इधर बाजू खत्म हो गया पॉज करने क्या पॉज करूँ क्या पॉज
Yes.
हाँ
They depend upon
क्या क्या हाँ खत्म हो गया आ गया
But if some other opportunity,
इधर अपना आवाज नहीं आ रहा।
they have